Hey, Jordan here. Let's talk about complex PTSD. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder is different than the standard PTSD in that it occurs regularly over time. So in my experience with CPTSD it was during my childhood. So during my childhood, I couldn't escape the house I was living in. I couldn't escape my circumstances. I'm just a kid. I have to pretty much just survive. I have to figure out a way to survive in my situation. In my situation, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like I fit into society. I felt alienated. My dad was a federal drug agent. And since the time I can remember, I was taught that the world is a big, bad, scary place, that people wanted to kidnap me and hurt my family because of the things that my dad did. And as a result, I didn't know my address, didn't know my phone number. We were very private and secluded. I was told to tell people my dad did a different job than what he actually did. So it resulted in me not fitting into society. I didn't feel like I could trust the world or trust the place that I grew up in. I felt like I was always under threat. And the times that it really hit me the most was at night, falling asleep. I just couldn't relax. I would hide with a little pocket knife under my blankets, terrified of any sound that someone was trying to break into the house and hurt me or my family. And so this built up over time, resulting in me having this hyper vigilant nervous system, being hyper aware of all of my situations, anywhere I went, always being on edge, and not ever learning or being taught how to turn it off. So as I got older, what happens is the way we think, the emotions we hold begin to fire together, and it develops these neural pathways. And these pathways stay where they are as we age. The brain doesn't like to do anything new, take any new routes in the neural pathways unless it has to, because it's simply just more efficient, easier for the brain to just do what it knows. Learning a new skill, a new way of being, takes effort and time. And that's why healing from complex PTSD takes time. It took time to develop all these pathways, and it takes time to unwind all these pathways. And that used to trigger me when I first learned about this concept. It set me on edge. I didn't even want to listen to it, didn't want to think about it, because I wasn't healed yet. I didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to put myself out there, make videos like this, or even talk to friends. It was difficult to bring this subject up because the wound was still fresh. I didn't even want to touch it or think about it. So when we begin to integrate and become aware of what is going on, why we think a certain way, and in my case, going back to these pathways, they're carved to be hyper aware, hyper vigilant, and never get to rest. So the only time I was able to rest and relax was with drugs, alcohol, or sex. Pretty much those were my escapes, that I could actually take a breath. And I didn't even know this consciously until later. Many they were good times, but also wasted times that I didn't realize how unconscious I was behaving, and how many relationships and people I was pissing off in the way, because hurt people. I hadn't been able to heal yet. So getting a little older, starting to dive into alcohol, drugs, sex, any way I can feel better. And then so I think the first step in healing complex PTSD is feeling safe, feeling regulated. These two things allow you to do the work that's necessary to rewire your brain. And so for me to feel safe, I began training jujitsu. This was actually, now that I think about it, that was the first time where I actually felt good without drugs, alcohol, or sex. For a little bit, my nervous system and my body were so tired from doing an hour or two of jujitsu that I could take a breath and I could relax. I didn't have this depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. All these feelings could finally relax after jujitsu. So I started getting into jujitsu more and more because it gave me a feeling of relaxation when I was done. And at the same time, I was learning how to defend myself. I was learning to be safe in my own skin. Once you develop that skill, it is nice to know that you are protected at any time, unless, of course, weapons are involved. But for the most part, you can hold your own against 99% of the population. And that is very reassuring, very comforting for your mind to, okay, I can again feel safe. Even if something does go wrong, I can defend myself and I feel comfortable and confident doing so. So I started training jujitsu, got deeper and deeper into that. And then with jujitsu comes injuries. So I was getting injured, I'd hurt my back, I'd hurt my arm, whatever. Many different things can go wrong when you're doing high-level physical chess with another person trying to harm you. That's the name of the game. So inevitably I'd get injured. And then to heal myself, I found yoga, meditation, and breath work. So I started integrating those modalities into my experience. And once I started meditating, I again got that sense of, oh, I can actually relax. And I started meditating first thing in the day, first thing in the morning. And that changed how my whole day was experienced. Just getting that, it was only 10 or 20 minutes of meditation would set the tone for the rest of the day. And I could tell when I missed a meditation, I'd be more easily stressed, more easily not myself or who I really am. I'd be this stressed out version of me. So I started meditating, and with meditation comes awareness. And I was curious, okay, what is going on? Why do I feel like I'm always on edge? I'm always in fight or flight mode. So I started studying at the Neurosculpting Institute in Denver. I learned a lot about regulating the nervous system, what is the autonomic nervous system. We have a sympathetic, a parasympathetic. We have different states that our brain will work in, and then how to change that state so that we aren't stuck in the same way, the same thing that we were to get this disorder, or whatever you want to call it, this way of being that is not ideal for you or the world. So once I learned meditation, that was really important for my well-being, for my system. And then with meditation, you start getting aware of what is enlightenment, what is awakening, what do these terms mean? And I've had experience with magic mushrooms that related directly to the way these gurus and people would describe enlightenment. And I've actually had a taste of this. I've seen this before. It's very real for me. Now, how do I bring this into my everyday life? And one of the techniques or modes of looking was, who are you? You can just simply ask the question, who am I? Over and over and over again, and layers will shed and layers will shed, and you'll begin to see that you are life itself. If you can peel back the layers of what brings forth this concept of I, what holds this concept of who I am, unravel that. Where does that come from? It is an illusion. It is complete fabrication of your own mind, and it needs to exist. It's there for a reason, and then I'm grateful for it. It allows me, the ego you can call it, it gives me my separate sense. It protects me from running out into traffic or whatever. It keeps me safe. But when we come from this PTSD, this complex PTSD, it can get a little too aggressive. It can get a little too overbearing. And when that happens, it is allowing the servant to do the master's role. And the servant doesn't know what the master does. The master being your soul, your capital S self. And so switching that order from allowing your soul to lead versus your mind is what integration is all about. So we have awakening, integration, and embodiment. So I got these glimpses into, all right, what is awakening, what is enlightenment? And my favorite definition of enlightenment, enlightenment is a door you walk through, and then when you look back, you realize there is no door. Enlightenment is the most natural thing that a human being can attain, because it is who they are, their essence of what gives life. The life force itself is what enlightenment is. But we don't see it all the time. So after getting glimpses of that and also practicing breath work, I started teaching yoga at this time. Really learning all the different modalities of breathing and how they can influence your system, how they can be tools to drop your mind. Yoga is union, and when we're in union, we drop the mind chatter. We learn. This is thousands of years of traditions being passed down, the different ways that people have noticed how to drop the mind, how they can let their mind get out of control and take the wrong role, and how to get it back in order, how to get back into alignment. And so breath work allows you to instantly change your state. Within a minute, you're going to be in a totally different mindset and feeling, and you can change your whole being through breath work. That, coupled with meditation, coupled with your intention and elevated emotion, now you have a complete formula to rewire and embody who and what you want to be, even if what you want to be is nothing more than what source wants you to be. You don't even have to think about it. It is going to automatically, naturally take you where you need to go. Life knows more than you do, and you can trust that. The circumstances that brought you to this point watching this video are here for a reason, and you're exactly where you need to be, and you can trust that this progressive awareness, I mean, most people, I would say 90+% of the people don't ever get to this point of this deep introspection that we're talking about here. So, and we're growing, we're learning, the consciousness is raising on the planet, but I guess that was just a little insight into my journey with complex PTSD, how I got through it, how I got to the point where I can talk about it and I can confidently teach others how to navigate their own system, their own minds, and come out on the other side a different person. If you're still here and you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I offer consultations. I also have a 6-week breath work. It's actually a little longer than 6 weeks, but 6-session, takes a couple months, breath work integration that will completely change the trajectory of your whole life. Complete game changer. It is the most powerful tool I've found, and I've traveled all over the world looking for different techniques and modalities, and this is my favorite, most accessible technique that would love to teach you. If you're interested, you can book a free consultation, talk to me one-on-one. Otherwise, I love you. Have a great day. Ciao.